I used to think earlier that we had to conform. Now I do it more for myself. So I actually go all out just because I want to.
Today we are at the residence of Seema Ved. She is the founder and chairwoman of Apparel Group. Our focus is not on finding out what she does in the boardroom, but more about what is her persona like, what's her day in the life of Seema Ved, and what are her pet peeves. Does she like Bollywood movies? Does she love Korean drama? Who does she idolize the most? So this is your way to know Seema Ved, the person.
So I was born in Africa, but my father brought me here in the 70s. And honestly, I don't give this country, the leadership, enough credit. But the way they have shown us how visionary they can be, what they've done with this city, what they've done with this place, I think underlying all of our successes is that. I think we need to realize that if we weren't living in this kind of a city where the leadership of the country wants to show you how to excel, wants to show you how to grow, wants to show you become that absolute global company, I don't think we would have reached this point in our lives. And more than that, honestly, like, I was surrounded by self-made men. I saw my father, then after that, I saw my husband's father, and they're all self-made stories. My husband's family came to the region in 1904, where his great-great-grandfather came as, I think he was a chef. So to get from that to this is quite and I know I say this a lot about myself, but I couldn't have done it without my husband or my father.
Right.
I think both of them have really steered the course of my life. Like my husband, as I said recently, he's like the wind beneath my wings, If he's not there, I can't fly. Absolutely. He lets me do all my crazy and my other stuff as well. So he's there for me, like when I had to do high tea with Seema Ved, or when I wanted to do high tea with Seema Ved. He was, and not just that, he stuck up
hoardings everywhere.
Exactly, that's the saying. He stuck up a 10-meter by 4-meter billboard of his wife's face on Sheikh Zayed Road. I know, I was on Sheikh Zayed Road, 10 meters by 4 meters. My kids on the way to school, it was like a little detour for them and their friends. They would stop, take a picture with the board. I was thrilled because he let me do my crazies. So he let me do my creative stuff, he let me do my crazy stuff, but he also then makes sure that I come back to work. He's always pulled me back after every child that I've had. After a couple of years, he would give me a few years to slack off, and then he would be like, you need to come back to work. I need you at work. So I don't know too many men who are secure enough to do that. I don't know too many men who are secure enough to let their wives shine. And then on top of that, I don't know too many men who say, okay, you know what? I'm going to pull you back into work, into my world, and I want you to be a big part of it. So I'm really grateful. I love people. I absolutely love observing people, getting to know people, and getting to know different cultures is my thing. So I'm a massive Netflix buff, massive Netflix buff. I end up watching, and I watch Korean shows. I loved Korean shows. The best part is, like, to me, that's now inciting me to go check out Korea. And I know the K-beauty is off the charts. So I'm thinking, hey, it's like dual accomplishment, right? Like I get to go see Korea and I get to check out the whole business angle to it. The thing, it's not about Bollywood or K-dramas, or I just go through phases where for me this time it's all about K-dramas. Maybe by the time we talk next, it's all about Bollywood again. So funnily enough, I think because I grew up watching my father, who would every weekend take me to a supermarket, because that's what he did. He did a chain of supermarkets. So every weekend we'd go to a supermarket and he'd check the shelves, because in those days there was no automated expiry dates, etc. So he had to physically, manually check that the boys were on top of it. Watching him do that, for me now, I don't think I have, sadly, for my kids as well, I don't think we have a demarcation that work ends here and family time begins here. For us, it's all intermingled, like it's all tangled up. We tend to take our kids to work. So for me, we've never really separated the two. We've never said, okay, this is family time or this is work time. I just feel with my kids, if I ever feel like I'm missing time with them, I make up for it by just taking them along. So I've had my middle child who's established her own 100% sustainable athleisure wear at 15, and now she's 17 going to uni. I've had her in most of my marketing meetings. So she now understands a lot of the terms. She knows how to handle people. She knows how to talk to them. She knows what she's looking out for. So for me, I'm giving them life skills. I grew up watching Oprah, okay? And I love Oprah. I love what she stands for. I love what she does. And I was like, I want to be Oprah. So when I proposed this to a friend of mine who helped me produce the show, she's like, you know, but the audience doesn't know you. So let's do the first season all about like Bollywood, or we did Lollywood because we did Rahat Fateh Ali Khan, we did Atif Aslam. So I loved it. I enjoyed the experience. But if you know anything about me, I like to be the only diva in the room. Oh. And my God, dealing with them was like pulled me down a few notches, and I was like, I am not doing this again.
For two divas.
Exactly. So I was like, no, I don't think this is going to work out for me. So I didn't do a second season, although I had people asking me that, and we kept envisioning that once we do season 1 with celebrities, we'll do season 2 with more normal people, or normal as in regular people.
Civilian.
And my husband is like, okay, that was fun. Glad you did it. Now let's move on. Let's get on to the real work. So I was like, okay, fine. So I got sucked back into the business. Every decade or so, I like to do something creative. So I did the columns in 2000. Then I did the show in 2010. Now I'm overdue to do something creative.
Yes, what could it be?
So it's coming
Your
up.
own
It's
TikTok
coming up.
channel?
No, close. Let's see. We're coming up with something. So we'll figure something out. But every decade or so, I get a little creative bug. And then I try my hand at something new. I used to think earlier that we had to conform. Now I do it more for myself. So I actually go all out just because I want to. Recently, my daughter, you know, and I love experimenting new things. So I'll share a crazy that you wanted to hear. So I love makeup. I absolutely love makeup. I love what they do, what it does for you. Like, I love it since I was 14. And I remember even in college, when I would have a very, very stressful exam, I would like put on more makeup because it just made me feel a little bit more stronger, a little bit more, I don't know, confident. So I said, fine. So recently, my daughter introduced me to this site called Foundation. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I went there exploring on Foundation. And Foundation is a site whereby when you plug in your current foundations, it tells you what number you are in the other brands. Okay, and I thought it was insane. But except my daughter said to me, Mom, most people use it to explore. You ended up buying 14 foundations. And I did.
You're a serial shopper then.
I am. I'm not a serial shopper, but I'm one of those like crazy experiment 14 foundations. So I actually bought 14 foundations. Now I'm going through them. Every day I was wearing a new one in the house with nowhere to go. And I would be like, I'm just trying it out. What do you guys think? You know, and I'd walk around the whole house and see how the wearability is. Does it sit in my cracks? What does it do? It was just an experiment for me. Yeah. So I just find it's so important in this day and age to stay relevant. Yes. No matter what you think of doing. I think if you want to connect with your kids, or if you want to connect with customers who are the ages of your kids, or you know, your peers, I feel it's so important to stay relevant, you know, and keep yourself entertained as well as learning. Because I think if you give up on this and if you stop living life to its fullest, then what's the point? I have 3 kids, all 3 very different ages. I want to let them know that there's more to life than just following one path. I think it's really important to give them that broadened horizon perspective that you can do a lot of different things. And then, of course, zero in on the one thing that's monetized, that helps you create your lifestyle and all of that. But it's important to have all these different areas too. I'm the mother who makes sure my PA organizes the maid to make the cookies that need to go into school.
It's all about delegating.
Look, I learned a long time ago that if I'm going to get in the kitchen and bake my own cookies, I can't do the boardroom at the same time. I kind of prioritize what needs to be done by me, what can be done by someone else, and what definitely doesn't need to be done by me. So I kind of have that list and I use that. So my children will have me there if I need to show up for a graduation, for a play, for a Christmas play. If I need to take them to the movies and things like that, I'll show up. If they need to go buy shoes, we own shoe stores, please just go help yourself, come back and let me know what you bought. So that, you know, like I said, you can't be there for everything and do everything. You've got to make a list. I just think it's important to be authentic. And I think about relevance, it starts with self-confidence. If you're confident about who you are, what you bring to the table, I think it will shine through. So I think relevance is just a byproduct of the way you actually feel about yourself and the way you portray yourself. I just think parents invariably or by default are a kid's role models. And I think kids don't tell you that, or we don't recognize it till much later in life. Like when I think about my journey, right? My father was always my mentor, but so was my mom. Watching my mom do what she did and supporting my dad, I came to a very late realization that she was actually way stronger than I gave her credit for. And I feel like we've got to be so aware of that, because if we let that slide even the slightest, we can scar them emotionally. Like I keep saying, my kids are going into therapy for sure, because the kind of things I expose them to, my God, like they're like, Mom, like I said, the 10 meter by 4 meter, you know, hoarding on Sheikh Zayed Road is enough to scar anyone. So, but I'll tell you a funny story about that. No, but since you like Tea with Sima Ved so much and you associate it with me, I'll tell you a funny story about that. My daughter went to university in Canada, and she calls me and she goes, Mom, you won't believe what I'm doing. It was a Saturday night. I was like, what are you doing? She goes, we're watching episodes of Tea with Sima Ved. I said, like, what is wrong with you? Like, why? Like, child, seriously, what? She goes, Mom.
Is that way to de-stress?
No, so I'll tell you what happened. She met a girl who used to watch my shows. And she said, Mom, she started talking to me and she's like, are you related to Seema Ved? And she's like, yeah, she's my mother. She's like, I can't believe that. So they both sat down and reminisced and watched my shows. To me, that was so sweet. Like, I gave her a thread or a way of connecting to someone else from another part of the world whom she didn't know, and they found this common ground. So to me, if I can do that for my children, no matter in whatever sense, what else would I want? I don't know if it's true about women having it all or even me having it all. I think we all go through phases in life where we have a little bit more of one thing and then a little bit more of the other thing. So I think over the years in my life, I've had phases where I was more of a mother.
Yes.
And then now suddenly I realize in the last, I think 5 to 7 years, I'm more of a businesswoman. And I truly believe that women need to understand that in business, that there isn't going to be a phase where you have it all. I think there's always going to be a phase in our lives, if you're planning to have that family, social, and work balance, there's going to be phases where you do one more than the other.